All chalk so far in Montgomery. All the favorites have won. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Yes, chalk means that all the favorites did win, but that's the way it has gone the entire series so far, the entire tournament. James Madison beating ODU, Georgia Southern beating Georgia State on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, same. Troy won, Southern Miss won, Coastal won, and the Cajuns won. And so we are, I guess all the top teams have moved on, at least thus far. Oddly enough, this usually does not happen. The first game, the Troy App game, which was the best game of the day, 10-9 Troy, ends up going extra innings. And the next ball game, the Southern Miss ball game, is 54 minutes behind. That was supposed to start at 12:30. It started at like 1:24. And yet somehow the Cajuns started only 41 minutes behind. So not bad. A game that I did not think was going to start until close to 9:30. It started at 8:10. So that's not bad at all. All right. So you know what? Let's go the last one first, since that's the one I was watching. The Raging Cajuns take down Texas State again. They dominated the Bobcats this year. There's no real explanation other than they're better than the Bobcats. The Cajuns take them down 6-1. They beat up Levi well. I wouldn't say beat them up. They only had 2 big base hits. Texas State had base runners all game long. They just had 1 base hit, and that was a miscommunication, infield base hit, if you will. They certainly had their shots. They just could not get anything going offensively in terms of getting a hit. They had a bunch of base runners. It was a very good pitching matchup between Jackson Nazu and Levi Wells. Levi Wells, oddly enough, I got the numbers here. Let me see if I can find my tweet that I put it out there. He finished the season. I guess so. I don't know if they finished the season. They still have one more game to go. But he is 7-3 against the Sun Belt. Against the Cajuns, he's 0-2. Against the Sun Belt, Levi Wells is 7-3 with what I would consider this year a respectable ERA, 4.5. 35 earned runs, 69 innings pitched. Against the Cajuns, he's 0-2 with over 70 ERA. He's given up 10 earned runs in 12 2/3 innings. Unbelievable. And it does look like he puts a lot more effort into his pitches than a Jackson Nazu. And Nazu was really good tonight. A little bit of wildness in the first. He had 7 pitches in the first 2 batters. Looked like you're going to get out of there with 12 or less, and then you end up going 28 pitches in the first inning. They end up loading the bases, but they didn't score. They could not get that big base hit. Took the Cajuns a little bit to get to Wells. John Taylor with a big home run in the 4th inning. And when he hit it, you're like, oh, he got a lot of that one. I don't know if it's gone, but it's going to be deep. And it was gone. He's got 43 runs batted in now. That was his 7th home run of the season. You get 2 more runs on a Julian Brock, bases loaded, double, almost bases clearing. It looked like Connor Higgs was safe. On the replay, it looked like he was safe. And they would not overturn it. I guess I can't get all that upset. I'm sure there'll be a time when the replay matters. In this case, it did not. And so the Cajuns do win it 6-1. I can't imagine Matt Diggs could be any more thrilled with the way this was, except maybe Jackson Nazu would be a little bit more efficient. And that's really, being picky when you're in a double elimination tournament. So the Cajuns go on. They beat Texas State all 4 times this year. They will play Coastal Carolina in the nightcap. Coastal, I should have it here, they had a tight ball game with Georgia State. I went on the show today on 103.3 The GOAT, little Yacht Rock Wednesday afternoon sports chat, and was saying this game is not going to be 3-2. It's not going to be 5-4. It's going to be like 11-8. And Coastal Carolina, of course, beats Georgia State 5-4. Panthers get on top of the run in the first. Coastal Carolina, 2 outs and nobody on. And this is where Georgia State's going to be like, oh, not that we had them, but you get 2 outs, nobody on. Then they scored 3 runs. That's a killer. That's just a killer. Coastal Carolina adds a run in the 5th. Georgia State 2 in the 7th. So they make it a 4-3 ball game. But Coastal Carolina gets a run back in the 7th. Georgia State gets a run in the 8th. And that's kind of where the scoring ended. Not kind of, but that's where the scoring ended. It was a 5-4 ball game. Let's see. The pitching had to be pretty good. Coastal Carolina's Doyle goes 6 innings, gives up a run, 3 hits, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. Horn came in. He gave up a couple of runs on 3 hits, and Sharkey gave up a run. He does strike out 4 to pick up his 9th save, and Doyle got the win. Let's see, for Georgia State, it was Acosta giving up all 5 runs, 7 hits, 6 2/3 innings, walking 3, striking out 5. That's probably a lot closer, certainly a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Well, I don't know about closer. I thought a lot less scoring. And again, if you're going to be Coastal Carolina, it's usually going to be in the high numbers where, right, maybe I can get Southern Miss because their pitcher is pitching well, but I can pitch well, and it's a 3-2 ball game or something along those lines, although the Cajuns did beat them 10-1 last weekend. So who knows about that. Coastal, you kind of feel like you got to outslug them. And in this case, you know, the difference in the ball game is a 3-run rally for Coastal Carolina with nothing going on, 2 outs and nobody on. I think it was the freshman of the year who got it going. Bodine got it going in the first inning. He knocks in a run and comes around to score as well for Coastal Carolina. All right, so it will be the defending national champs against the number 1 seed Chanticleers, the defending champs, are, of course, the Cajuns against the Chanticleers. Will be 7:30 scheduled for it on a Thursday, and we'll see what happens there. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll tell you what happened on in the morning, and we'll start to preview. We got to look at the bracket and see what everything is going on as well. But let me tell you a little bit about Birddogs. I wore my new Birddog shorts out to Tiger Park for the regionals, and I loved them. They were got a little tan and really comfortable. They made my legs look great. Their stretchy fabric makes my legs look great, and they're comfier than my other shorts and pants. And they give me the freedom to wear one pair of shorts and pants on the golf course, to a meeting, hanging out with my friends, or even on a date. So go to birddogs.com/LockedOnCollege, and when you enter promo code LockedOnCollege, they'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. That is at birddogs.com/LockedOnCollege. And when you enter promo code LockedOnCollege, they'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. We're back with segment number 2. Let's check out what happened in the morning. And again, the best game of the day was Troy against App State. Troy being the 3 seed and App State being the 6 seed. So App State avoids playing in the single elimination portion of the show, if you will. They jump on top 1-0. In fact, they got a 4 spot in the 5th. So basically halfway during the game, they're leading Troy 5-0. And Troy, like that, got right back in it. 5 runs in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. So now, through 7 innings, and it turns out through 8 innings, the score is 7-5. That's 12 runs. Math. 7-5 through 8. Troy scores 4 in the 9th. I'm sorry. App State scores 4 in the 9th. Troy scores 2 in the bottom of the 9th just to tie it and go to extra innings, and they get a run in the bottom half of the 10th to win it. So you had 12 runs in the first 8 innings, and you had 7 runs in the last 2 innings. That was quite the ball game. That game was 3 hours and 29 minutes, but there's a run in the first. You get a 9-run fifth inning, single runs after that, and then 4 runs in the ninth for App and 2 in the ninth for Troy. I mean, App's got to be. What do we got to do to beat these guys? Right, 4 in the fifth and 4 in the ninth, and you lose. Jeez, Troy's going to be tough to beat. Let's see who drove in some of the runs today. For Troy, Bardolero had 2 runs batted in. Cobb had 2 runs batted in. Bryan had 3 runs batted in. Lewis, right, the home run leader, didn't have any. 0 for 5 for Lewis. A little bit surprising there. For App State, you did have Boyd with 2 runs batted in, Drummeller a pair of runs batted in, and Reed and Zureb, it's a great name, with 2 runs batted in. All right, so Troy will end up taking on Southern Miss. Southern Miss disposes of James Madison 7-1. Tanner Hall, outstanding complete game, 1 unearned run, 3 hits, no walks, 9 strikeouts. He was fantastic. Ryan Murphy for JMU, only 3 2/3 innings, gives up 2 runs, 3 hits, walks 4, strikes out 2. As a lot of the guys, and according to Matt Stewart, everyone pitched their number 1 guys on Wednesday. So it'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward. Anybody hear a pop? I don't know where that pop came from. I don't know. All right. It'll be interesting to see what happens because, again, even on my show on Monday, Matt Daggs is like, we got Nezu and Fluno, and then we're going to wing it from there. The thing is, I think a lot of these teams are going to wing it. We did a little, I won't say statistical analysis as we're just reading off the ERAs, but we'll go over that a little bit later because there's not a whole lot of pitching. There are some great pitchers, but not a whole lot of group successful pitching this year in the Southern League because I'm looking at Southern Miss, but in the Sun Belt. Let me see if I got my Sun Belt brackets up here. I do. Okay, so now let's see if we got the overall bracket. Well, that's going to be a PDF. That's not going to work. All right, so let's see. So, again, Troy defeats App. They're going to take on Southern Miss, who defeated James Madison. Coastal Carolina downs Georgia State, and the Cajuns take care of Texas State. So, Thursday at 9 a.m., you start the losers bracket. James Madison will take on App State, 9 a.m. All right. At 12:30, Georgia State will take on, I believe, Texas State, the loser of the Cajuns-Texas State game. So Texas State has to play Georgia State at 12:30. The number 2 and 3 seeds will match up at 4 p.m. It'll be Southern Miss against Troy. And once again, it'll be the Cajuns at 7:30 taking on Coastal Carolina. I will say the weather was very cooperative. And again, you rarely see, once you get behind, till you catch up. Is that possible? But again, the second game, the Southern Miss game, started 54 minutes later than was scheduled because the first game went to extra innings. But by the time the Cajuns started, they were supposed to start at 7:30. They started at 8:11. So very rarely do you see that. I will say for the Cajuns, they had a shot at taking down Coastal Carolina. They beat them on Friday night. They let the Saturday game get away from them. An error through John Taylor's leg led to a big inning. Could have been a double play ball. And they were leading Coastal Carolina 2-1. And Coastal Carolina hits an Apo Taco home run. And then Rockeford's home run in the ninth inning is brought back into the park. He hit one and it was leaving it. And somehow the right fielder made a great catch. And Coastal wins it 3-2 in 10. So certainly the Cajuns should not lack confidence. They cannot not lack runs, though, against Coastal Carolina. I would think not. All right, I do want to go over those statistics, see if I can find them quickly, because it is amazing on really the lack of pitching in the Sun Belt as teams. Again, we know Ken Jackson Nezu has pitched well over the last month. We know Tanner Hall has pitched well. The starter for Coastal has pitched well. but as a team, it has not gone all that well. All right. I do want to thank you for tuning in to Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Remember, we will continue to recap over the weekend. It'll probably be a late Friday night. We're certainly going to stay up Friday night and watch the Raging Cajuns softball team play Washington. That's a 9 p.m. local start here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Yeesh. So we will probably have to take a nap in there somewhere. And so we'll probably get an episode out following that. It'll be late night, early morning, but it'll be around when you get up on Saturday to let you know what happened if you didn't quite stay up. And so again, the station is growing. We'll get back to the football. I do have one scheduled interview with one of the head coaches, so we'll do a lot of recapping what happened in spring football as the softball and the baseball wind down. But we'll have continued complete coverage of Sunbelt baseball here this week and throughout the Memorial Day weekend. All right. Let's. I do want to talk about this because we talked about it on my show. And it is kind of surprising. Let me see. I just had it. That the statistics for the Sunbelt pitching is just not great. Southern Miss does lead, and these are Sunbelt games only. It's not overall team. So it's half the schedule. It's 30 games in most cases. Southern Miss leads the league with a 4.63 ERA. Next are the Cajuns, 5.12. At the bottom, ULM with an 8.50 ERA. You're giving up an average of 8.5 earned runs a game. Never mind how many unearned runs a game you're giving up. I mean, ULM gave up 232 earned runs. They also tacked on another, looks like 48 unearned runs. Yeesh. That's where the Cajuns' defense is spectacular. Like the Cajuns in the Sunbelt, that was in Sunbelt play for ULM. In Sunbelt play for the Cajuns, they've given up a grand total of 10 unearned runs. That is fantastic. And what appears to be the lowest total, Southern Miss is 19. Troy is just over 30. Coastal's over 30. Texas State's about 25. Yeah, I mean, 10 unearned runs is outstanding. Tonight could have been an unearned run, but it's a mental mistake, so you don't get an error on that. And they turn a nice defensive play as well. Marshak at third, a backhanded play with the bases loaded, able to very easily could have gone off his glove and into left field, and who knows what happens after that. But he makes a nice backhanded play, steps on third, throws to first for a double play, and only one run came in the inning. So defense is huge for the Raging Cajuns, and we'll see what pitching has left. I think everybody probably has one or two pitchers, and then once you get past them, as I think I said earlier, Matt Degg said we're just going to wing it, and so it'll be interesting to see how they do that moving forward. Of course, the Cajuns are your defending champs, and we got some good games tomorrow. You know, the afternoon ball games. Well, I guess the 3 of the 4 technically afternoon, but you got Southern Miss, the 2nd seed, taking on the 3 seed Troy, and you got the number 1 seed Coastal Carolina Chanticleers taking on the number 4 seed and defending champions, if you will, the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. All right, want to again thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back again tomorrow to see where we stand, who's been eliminated, and who has moved on in the Sun Belt Conference Baseball Tournament. I am your host, Dave Schultz, and you've been listening to Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day.